Well, I wanted to say I interviewed Chris. I haven't published it yet. I was dumbfounded that as a Thunderbird, he had to eject from his plane. His plane crashed, and he never was asked if he needed any help or counseling or directed to go to counseling. Nothing. They didn't even talk about it. He and his wife didn't talk about the crash for like I don't know if it's 15 years, but in the military, they didn't even talk about it. That's just I just couldn't believe that. So yeah, I think those are all good points, Jenny. I think just be aware. Just I think it starts with self-awareness. Be aware of when you ask somebody how are they, do you really want to know? And are you making time to have those conversations? And you know what? As a leader of a company, it's really can be lonely sometimes. There's things that you can't talk to your employees about, or can't really talk to other people about, or maybe don't want to talk to your significant other about. And that's why I think sometimes it's important to get a coach or be in a mastermind or have a friend that you can reach out to.
Exactly. So Tony, you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, Emily, I have to get your email address because I got a video I want to share with you, and maybe Jenny, I'll share it with you too, and you might want to share it with the group at some point. I went through a very interesting episode, and so my whole thing has been kind of the Joan Rivers mentality. I'll walk in a room and I'm like, okay, here's where I'm at, and I'll just look across the room and say, can we talk? You know, I'll just let my hair down, say whatever, and you're surprised that when you do show some vulnerability, how much strength those around you. You are more of a strength because you're able to quote unquote let your hair down, or let people know that there's that human side of you. I mean, I've been successful in a lot of areas, and no one thinks that rock stars, you know, cry at night or get upset, but rock stars kill themselves all the time, right? It happens to all rock stars. They, you know, it's just something with them. No one realizes that pain when you're on the top. So I tend to say, hey, here's what I am here, you know, hopefully we can deal with it. And people tend to draw to that. But there is a fine line there, especially in the DoD perspective too. So
I think that's a really good point. All the people that are in certain positions of authority, they also might have clearances and other things like that, that they're putting a lot at risk to be open about it. But I look at particularly depression as, for the main part, it's a chemical imbalance. And I think I shared with Emily on my podcast that I'm a recovering alcoholic since '91. And as a teenager, I was like that, and I didn't know what it was, but I sure as heck knew that alcohol fixed it right away because it puts you in another world. And I think we've got so many of these things that are pervasive, affecting our productivity, affecting people's lives. And they also talk about how that a problem of me affects my family. And Emily, I think you brought it forward the most when you talked about some of the issues that people have gone through with family members and addiction, because it's not just the individual. Do you mind adding?
No, yeah, I don't mind adding. And Jenny, you were really vulnerable and authentic in your interview, and I commend you for that. That's the first time you've come out publicly to say that you're an alcoholic. Yeah, so I spoke up one point when I was a new senior executive, and I was in this class for new senior executives and flag officers for like an NDOT class for, I think it was for a week. And on the Sunday before the class started, I got a call from my son, and he could hardly talk. And he was drunk, and he had done every kind of drug. He just binged. And he finally went and got help. And I didn't leave that class to go rescue him, but I did stand up in the class, and I talked about it. And I said, right now, my son's in the hospital. His blood alcohol was 0.39. And the reason I'm not there is because I've tried many times to save him. And I know that I can't. And he needs to know Mom's not coming to rescue you. You've got to rescue yourself. And I interviewed him, and he said that was the best thing I've ever done. It was the hardest thing to do. But I told all these executives, I said, guarantee you have people in your workforce that are struggling with this. And I think they're like, not in the military, no. So I went to NAVSUP. The admiral in charge of NAVSUP, Naval Supply Systems Command, had me come and speak, and I've spoken at NAVAIR too. But at NAVSUP, I spoke about addiction and that I know it's happening and how it impacts families, and that helps. It doesn't help productivity, and no one feels they can talk about it. If your kid had cancer, someone would be bringing you meals. But with depression or alcoholism, it's like you're a loser parent. No, I'm not a loser parent. And so after I spoke at NAVSUP, the admiral's in the room and everything, one person said, I'm raising my granddaughter because my daughter's a heroin addict. Another person said, my son overdosed 3 times last week and I don't know what to do. So people got up and started talking and saying things that they had never shared before. And so we can think that it's not impacting us. And in the military, in the government, I don't think the government really looks at themselves as a business. If we did, we would be adding up the numbers that were lost because of lost productivity. You as a company would really do that more, but it is loss of productivity in so many ways. They may be at work, but they're not. Their mind's somewhere else because they feel like they can't talk about it. And I'm not saying you got to create a space to talk about it forever or whatever, but just let them know that you understand, that you care, and that you're with them.
Well, I think that going through this COVID has made a lot of people think differently about how they think about challenges, that we're more aware of needing to balance the family and the work schedule and what we're giving up for one when we pursue the other one too hard or without balance in mind. And I just feel like there's a shift coming in people's attitudes. And one of the reasons I was so excited, Emily, to have you on this session today was because I see you stepping out and taking action, and I want to do that too. And I know everybody on that call I've had these kind of conversations with. Emily, would you mind wrapping up by talking about onward movement?
I should have this memorized, but I don't. So I'll just be really quick. I have the Onward podcast, but I also started an Onward movement. And in the Onward movement, I'm really hoping to get, at least 10,000 people that see authenticity and vulnerability as a sign of strength and want to show up as their authentic selves. People, the movement is right now, it's a Facebook group. And a lot of interaction. There's 536 members in this group. We have a book club discussion once a week where we're talking about Brene Brown's Dare to Lead book about authentic leadership. And we have a manifesto. And in this manifesto, just some things that we talk about is, life doesn't happen to us or for us, it happens through us. Adversity makes us stronger. We talk about how our stories help others move forward when they're facing adversity. That perfection's a fairy tale. We reveal and talk about our imperfections, and as a result, we grow. And then also that although we strive to improve ourselves, we know we are enough just the way that we are. And it's really a supportive group. A lot of people in the group are about my age or older. I just turned 57. I'd like to get some 30, 40-year-olds. We've got men in the group. It's mostly women. I'd like to see more men in the group because men deal with women and they got to understand how we're feeling and we got to understand from a man's perspective. That's what I'm hoping, is that this group is a really strong group that can help each other, support each other. And that's what I'm seeing happening within the group. And eventually we'll have some get-togethers. Like I'm having coffee with people in the group on Saturday morning over Zoom, just getting to know each other as well. But that's what I'm starting, is this movement to try to change our communities, and then as a result, change the world and help people be more confident. A lot of people that come in the group, they have to answer questions, and some of the answers are, what holds them back from being authentic is afraid of being judged, fear of being judged, wondering what people think of them. And, that's tough. We just got to get over that but social media doesn't help.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Emily, we're looking forward to following up on your onward movement, find out how it's going. The other thing that you and I talked about this morning is getting people to tell us what books they're reading, that they think contribute to this, because I know I had a great conversation with Tony on some of the things that he's been reading. So if anybody has anything to add in the chat window, you could put some of the topics, but we're going to start identifying those things for people to share. Hey, thanks everybody for showing up today and being a part of Freedom Friday. We've got more coming up next week, and looking forward to more interaction with everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny, for putting this on.